Everything on your plate right now is something a human being once ate to find out if it would kill them. Somewhere in the history of dinner, a person looked at a pufferfish, a creature carrying a poison more than 1,000 times deadlier than cyanide, with no antidote, and thought, that's lunch. Somewhere else, someone ground up a root that fills your blood with cyanide if you eat it raw, and then ate it for 4 days straight on purpose. And the first person to eat a wild almond bit down, felt their whole mouth scream poison, spat it out, and then, being human, tried a different almond. The brave ones we remember. The other ones are the reason we remember anything. The question is how? No chemistry, no lab, no ingredients label, just a person, a plant that might be food or might be the last thing they ever chewed. And one way to find out. The procedure for most of human history was the same one we'd use today on a stranger's mushroom. Eat a little, wait, and watch the people who ate more. If a berry took out your cousin, that berry was now classified, and the classification was your cousin. But there was a second tool, and it's in your mouth right now. Bitterness is an alarm. The tongue carries a whole family of receptors, about 25 of them, called the TAS2Rs, and the entire reason evolution bothered to build them is to scream when something toxic lands on them. One of them, TAS2R16, is tuned specifically to the compounds that turn into cyanide when you chew. That receptor was already common in people before our ancestors walked out of Africa. We have been carrying a built-in cyanide detector for longer than we've had countries. So when a kid spits out the bitter thing, that is not a kid being difficult. That is 200,000 years of dead relatives voting. The bitterness is the plant saying no, and the gag is the body taking it as a yes or die. And the genuinely strange part is how often we overruled both. Coffee is a poison the plant grew to kill insects. We boil it, pour it in a cup, and stand in line at 6 in the morning to pay for it. A handful of wild almonds will kill a child. That is the default almond, the one nature actually shipped. A wild bitter almond is loaded with a compound your gut cheerfully breaks down into cyanide, and the dose is not symbolic. Somewhere around 50 of them will kill a grown adult, and a small handful will kill a kid. It tastes so vile your TAS2R receptors flag it before you finish the first bite, which is the tree working exactly as designed. It does not want to be a snack. It wants to make more trees, and a seed that murders the animal eating it is a seed with a future. So why isn't the almond in your trail mix doing that? Because thousands of years ago, in one wild tree somewhere in the ancient Near East, a single gene broke. One mutation switched the cyanide factory almost entirely off. Sweet, harmless, edible, and early farmers who knew nothing about genes or cyanide or anything simply noticed that the almonds from that one weird tree didn't taste like betrayal and planted those. Every sweet almond alive today, every one in every bag in every store, traces back to that one broken gene. The tree made one mistake in one gene one time, and that mistake is the entire global almond industry. The tree is dead. It has no idea it won. Cassava feeds about 500 million people, and it is full of cyanide. Not trace amounts. The bitter varieties carry enough that a single meal of the raw root can poison you outright, and a steady diet of badly processed cassava causes konzo, a paralysis of the legs that arrives in hours and never leaves. Children are still crippled by it today in bad harvest years because somebody got the steps wrong, and the steps are unbelievable. To make cassava safe, you peel it, soak it for days, press the liquid out, and dry it in the sun, a process spread over days where skipping any single step lets the poison through. Nobody wrote it down because nobody could write. It is a 4,000-year-old oral instruction manual passed mouth to mouth. Step 1, peel. Step 2, soak for days. Step 3, press. Step 4, dry in the sun. Do not skip to step 4. This is a multi day chemical decontamination protocol invented by people who had never heard the word molecule. Here's what they were actually doing blind. Crushing the root breaks open its cells and lets the cyanide out as a gas. The long soak and the sun drying let that gas escape into the air instead of into you. The modern food science version removes 96 to 99% of the poison. The traditional version, the one with no chemistry in it at all, removes about the same. People worked out the correct answer to a chemistry problem thousands of years before anyone knew chemistry was a thing, and the only feedback they ever got was which neighbors could still walk. Fugu is pufferfish, and the poison from the hook is its poison, tetrodotoxin. No antidote, no treatment, just the question of whether you stop breathing before morning. It leaves you fully awake while your body quietly switches off, including the parts that move air. People have been eating it in Japan for around 6,000 years. Archaeologists keep digging up the bones in prehistoric trash heaps, right alongside everything else they were having for dinner. At the Ubayama shell mound in Chiba, they found the fugu bones next to a pit of stacked human skeletons, which is either a coincidence or the oldest one-star review in history. 6,000 years is not a window of ignorance. That is 6,000 years of people who knew for an absolute fact that this fish kills you, who watched it kill people, and who showed up for dinner anyway. We didn't fail to learn the lesson with fugu, we learned it harder than almost anything, and then decided the fish was worth it. Today, a chef trains for years to earn a license to cut one, and people pay extra for the version where a faint tingle in the lips proves it was the real animal and not a safe substitute. They are, in other words, paying for proof that it could still kill them. We took the warning and put it on the menu as a feature. Go back far enough, and the oldest hard evidence of people eating seafood, shellfish, in a cave on the South African coast runs to about 164,000 years. 164,000 years of humans walking up to things that might be food and might be the end of them, and finding out the only way there was. So nothing on your plate arrived safe, it arrived survived. The bread, the beans, the coffee that was built to poison beetles, the almond that is just a tree that made a typo and got fed a civilization for it as a reward, every one of them is the answer to a question that somebody, somewhere down the line, asked with their mouth and got wrong. We like to think of a meal as comfort. Mostly a meal is a verdict, and every verdict came back the slow way, one person at a time. We just buried the bodies and kept the recipe. The pufferfish is the only thing left on the table that still charges you extra to remember them.